welcome back to the Overplayed podcast, the home of sports and sports gaming in your ear every Thursday, roughly around like 3 p.m. or so on your favorite podcast app.
Eastern.
Not giving us a five. Eastern, yeah, good point. If you
well,
have not
we
given us a
respect you,
five-star
West
rating,
Coaster. We respect you, West Coasters.
East Coast, Best Coast. If you have
right.
not given us a 5-star rating yet on your favorite podcast app, first of all, what's wrong with you? Second of all, you're probably below 5 feet tall. I'm not holding that against you. You may be gravitationally challenged. I'm just letting you know. You could be 6'7" tomorrow if you leave a 5-star review right now, and maybe we'll read it live on the show.
Do you think heavier gravity can make a person shorter? Like if they're in like a weird gravitational place?
It pushes down on your joints and the cartilage so that you are shorter.
Does gravity push or pull? Like, does it push from above or does it pull down towards the earth?
Oh, it pushes above.
Does it? I thought gravity pulled. Because doesn't gravity come from...
What does an apple do? Does it fall from the tree?
Well, yeah, it falls, but I'm saying, but isn't that gravity pulling the apple down?
No.
Because, yeah, it's a gravitational pull, not a gravitational push.
Mills, I spent too many hours in your podcast over the past week or so getting pissed off at your stupid conversations, and I'm done.
Listening audience, did you know Monday does not end in a Y? We'll go over that at some point.
I honestly hate everything. My name is GoodGameBro, and the gentleman that you're hearing combat me every single week is someone saying goodbye to their beard in a little over a month of some change, aka my incredible co-host Mills.
The idea is if we stop talking about the beard, people will forget that it's coming off June 11th. So I had some members of my chat ask, is this a clean, from the nose down kind of shave, or am I allowed to keep weird shaped mustaches around for the foreseeable future after that? Is this a beard shave or is this a facial hair removal? People have asked. They want the PI mustache is what they want. They want me to keep. They want me to do the thick
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, the Tom Selleck. They want the Tom Selleck, and I'm thinking it's just about ridiculous enough that you might agree to it. So, maybe listen. There's no chance I can keep it for more than a week. I will be embarrassed enough. It will be an embarrassing mustache. Believe me when I say this. Have you seen Tom Selleck's mustache? I
would grow it if I,
could.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm okay with the Selleck stash. All
right. There's no guarantee, but for the idea is the day we shave it, we cut this awful like extra like railroad tycoon parts of the mustache off, but maybe we keep the Selleck for about a week and then eventually take it all off. And that'll actually delay the regrow by a week anyway, because you got to start with a base layer. So
yeah,
maybe I would just make it easier.
I would just say one suggestion, Mills. Please, when you're talking about yourself, never say take it all off. That's all I would ask.
Listen. My only crayons is starting up soon. It's my me and my cranberry juice.
Everyone is now vomiting while listening.
There's nothing wrong with cranberry juice. It's very good for you. High in fiber. You need it as you age, the way I do. you need all the fiber you can get at my advanced experience.
Oh, speaking of experience, Mills, what have you been doing the past week?
It's been MLB The Show for the most part, all day, every day. They've got some issues going on in terms of again, franchise mode. And the franchise mode I did some testing in doesn't look like it's been as updated as some may have thought. Roster vault's still broken. There is a roster update coming this Friday as you listen to this. There will be a roster update with attributes and moves and everything. So I'm hoping they update some of the potentials and some of the issues with the base roster. Without the roster vault, a lot of people are without a forward moving franchise because they're all waiting for obviously full minors or any one of the number of rosters that are going to be coming after that. So, but other than that, I mean, Diamond Dynasty has its hooks in me. Road to the Show has its hooks in me too. I've enjoyed Road to the Show a ton this year. Even I actually have taken my Road to the Show player and put him on my Diamond Dynasty team to kind of advance him on both sides. It's been fun. There's some real bugs there too. Just a heads up for anyone listening. If you have an XP bug where you're not getting XP with your Diamond Dynasty or with your ball player and you only play Road to the Show, put him on your Diamond Dynasty team for one game. And literally you could go into a versus CPU game, get him one at bat and quit out. Okay. And then that should unlock your Road to the Show player. If you have not, if that doesn't work, go to theshow.com to their support link and actually put a support ticket in, because you are one of the few that has a deeper problem than that. They are looking into that apparently on why it's doing that, but they need all the support tickets they can get. So again, theshow.com, very top right, there'll be a support link. It'll ask you a bunch of questions. Just fill it out. It'll be worth it. Not turnaround time is not great in terms, because they've got a ton of people, with problems, but definitely get it in. It's better to have it down and written, on paper, listed somewhere, as besides you just complaining on Twitter about it.
Yeah, I think a big issue with that bug too is the bug, I think from what I've seen, comes from the suspended state, right? So when you've played the game, logged off, turn off your console, and then you come back. So a lot of it is really getting into Diamond Dynasty again, to Mill's point, loading up that game. And for 99% of people, that seems to be fixing it. So hopefully they fix it so you don't have to jump through a couple of hoops, but it's a quick fix. It
does look like their server issues are starting to lighten up a little bit. Yesterday was a pretty good day during the day. By yesterday, I do mean as we're recording this, yesterday would have been Wednesday. Today looks like it's been very, very good for them in terms of Thursday. It does look like it's going up in terms of the quality. Of course, PSN went down for a time, so half the user base, and then right after PSN came back up, the MLB servers went down. So what I will say is, in the time that I've been able to play it, Diamond Dynasty has been fantastic. I'm actually, the first inning program, not only have I gotten to the bosses, as of this morning, I actually finished the first inning program, XP all the way to the end. And let me reiterate, I did that without playing. I played 3 online BR games. Everything else was offline. So they've done a fantastic job of being able to be, and by offline, I mean versus CPU stuff like Conquest, Road to the Show stuff, Moments, all of that, all of the different missions and all that you play. They've done a great job of making it very accessible to users that are a little more intimidated by head-to-head play. You do not have to do the head-to-head missions to get through it. And I proved that today.
Yeah, there's so much content. I think we talked about it with Demo a little bit, but I can't not get overwhelmed when I see all that content. That's what I've been playing as well. I've been playing a lot of MLB The Show. I jumped back into Rocket League a little bit, was playing that. The game is whenever I go away from Rocket League, whenever I come back to it, I'm like, man, I miss this game so much. It is the perfect sports game experience in my eyes. They're just the 5-minute games. It's quick. You get good teammates, bad teammates you don't know. You got communication all through in-game text chat. It's just such a good experience, man, every single time. But Rocket League, MLB The Show, and then I actually jumped into a little bit of Madden franchise mode here with some 2K as well. But pretty much a smorgasbord of stuff now.
I mean, you've definitely been bouncing around, but if we're going to talk sports games, let's stick with sports games this time. I know we do a lot of sports early. I'm going to stick with sports games. We've got 2 pretty big stories going on right now. EA Sports College Football Revamped. They have done a lot of work with you that I think is going to be coming out soon. No spoilers. But also, a couple of their devs, or are they considered devs or team members or whatever they are? They're devs now, because they were hired by EA Sports College Football, the new game that was announced last month. They've been hired. Talk to me about the gentlemen that were brought on to work on the official EA Sports game now.
This is, when I saw this, I'm in their Discord. I check out all their updates and see what people are, doing. There's a lot of community. This is an entire community-based project, right? These are people that are not getting paid. They're not soliciting funds from anyone. And I can tell you, as someone who they created a team for, a university for me, I have tried to pay them for that. And they have told me, no, this is community based, this is heart based or whatever. Just talk about the project and,
love the game, love the game.
And this shows the love, to your point, Mills. These guys are so dedicated, and whether we call them contributors or devs, contributors is maybe the right technical term, but what they are essentially is developers. What they are doing is developing an experience and improving upon a game that is beloved, that was flawed, but they've made gameplay better, they've made UI better, they've made CPU decision-making better. Every aspect of the game they've really touched and impacted. So what we've essentially seen is that they announced Igloo. I'm going by their monikers, their handles or whatever.
Right.
Igloo was hired as a producer on the game. Slab was hired, I believe, as a UI artist. And then D Wade, who I've been actually working with a lot in terms of communication and getting stuff set up for my own project with them. He's going to be interning with them this summer while he's finishing up school and going through that. So they are, to me, this is a smart move, right?
Yep.
EA has, I mean, Mills, we talked a couple of episodes ago about, how close is EA paying attention to this project? Well, obviously they're paying an insane level of attention to this project if they're bringing on these guys to do this. But you're seeing guys who are already going to be familiar with their game, who understand the pageantry of college football, understand the community side of college football and everything that needs to be done. And they've already gotten somewhat used to your systems in a way by sort of, like quote unquote hacking through it. Right. This is a brilliant hire, and I love seeing this.
And this just goes to show, first of all, that games watch their communities. Games have insane level of attention to their communities, whether we believe that or not, whether they're vocal about it or not, whether they comment on specific things or not. This shows they have an insane level of vision on their communities. And it also shows if you have a labor of love, if you truly enjoy what you're doing and you put hard work to it and you keep your nose clean, good things happen to those type of people. And for Igloo and Slab and D-Wade, like, that's what this is. They took a labor of love. They continued upon it until they got noticed. They got noticed by the big boys, and they are now working under the EA umbrella. And there's nothing bad that comes from that, especially if you guys have experienced any part of College Football Revamped. Nothing bad comes from that, especially still having that link to the community, because those three will always have a special link to the community for what they've done. And that is a good thing when it comes to game development, having that link to your community. Speaking of links to the community, though, Eurogamer came out with an article this week stating very clearly that there is an internal document leaked, an internal marketing document that was leaked, that EA was pushing, quote unquote, this is the word we used, FIFA players to spend on their packs, their quote unquote loot boxes, or as EA has referred to them in the past, their surprise mechanics, whatever you want to call them. Leaked documents show that, leaked documents lean towards the fact that EA is pushing this. EA has come out and denied this fact, come out and said that's not the way it was worded. That's not the way it was said. It says the document said FUT is the cornerstone, FUT being FIFA Ultimate Team, is the cornerstone, and we are doing everything we can to drive players there. That's a bullet point towards the top of the document. Since that, EA has said that's not exactly how the document is worded. A lot of things are taken out of place. What I want to more comment on is this article coming out and then looking at sports game as a whole right now. We've got NBA 2K, where they don't really push. I mean, obviously they have a splash screen to my team, but a lot of what their push right now is to going to the city mode, where there are a ton of microtransactions in terms of cosmetic. I don't mind the cosmetic so much as I do the working on your player and having to redo your player every single time. It's $50 just to get them to the base level every time you want to redo your player without having to put, I think it's like, someone told me it was like 30, 40 hours to rebuild your player up if you reset them or if you create a new one. At the same time, obviously Madden, and the splash screen on Madden every time is what's going on in MUT. FIFA's the same way. The splash screens in FIFA are what's going on in FIFA Ultimate Team right now. But more specifically, the game that just came out, MLB The Show 21, now within the past 3 years, they've taken their two main offline modes, which were Road to the Show and Franchise Mode, and given direct links to Diamond Dynasty, their card collecting mode, through those modes. Road to the Show now has Ball Player introduced this year, which now has a, like I said, direct link into Diamond Dynasty. And previously, they created March to October, which is a mode that allows you to get team affinity points, which allows you to get more cards in Diamond Dynasty mode by playing through it. A step further, if you want to go this far, is they've always included sponsorships, something you use in franchise mode in their packs and on their market. Is this something we should just kind of acquiesce to, and that sports games are going to do this? Because every time that they're brought up, it seems like the denial is very quick. No, we're not doing that. But there's a lot of smoke around all of these games right now. and you only get so much smoke before you see fire. I mean, what should we just let this go, or should we continue to bang on this door?
It's it's an interesting thing, Mills, to be honest with you. I think, I go back as far as you look at Madden's what was the really bad career mode? What was the name of the career mode that Madden had before the one we have now? Before facing the franchise? Long shot. Gotcha.
Long shot, yeah.
Yeah, so long shot is probably one of the first times I remember that I think FIFA had the journey. I think Madden had long shot, and both of those were essentially when you completed those single player experiences, you were then driven into MUT or FUT respectively by basically getting a card and trying to use that card. I don't know if FIFA did that as much, but Madden definitely gave you a couple of cards that you earned along the way, which were trying to essentially get you to sort of open the door and see what MUT or what FUT were essentially about at that point. It's a weird spot because to a degree, I don't think that we're ever going to go back to the way we used to be with sports games of like the $60 experience. That's the end of the road or whatever. And it's just sort of like you have what you have and you play and then you sort of go on about your days. It's a slippery slope though, because I don't think it's okay to be the first thing you see when you load up a game is like the live content sort of piece that is pushing you solely towards those modes. If we were booting up the game and maybe sometimes it was sort of the live content, or it could be tailored, right? Like, okay, Mills plays my team. We know that based on his player activity. Let's surface him some things for my team, or let's surface him some things for Park, or let's surface him some things that are based off my NBA or whatever. That is more so where I'd love to see these companies go, is player personalization, rather than saying, you play franchise mode, that's all you put in for the last 30 hours. We're still going to show you a MUT splash screen.
Right.
I would love to see sort of the click-through rate in terms of the learn more or the dismiss, because I can tell you my brain is trained right now to just go to dismiss every single time. I don't ever want to see those. I am not a dude who wants to spend money into MUT or some of the other modes. And so I just go past them. But I don't know if we're ever going to get back to the days of not being like funneled to them. It's almost like college football in a way, or sorry, college sports, right?
Right.
There's lacrosse, volleyball, swimming, basketball, football, all these different things. But the cash cow for most of those programs or most of those schools is going to be college football. So no matter what sport you're attending, they're still trying to get you to go attend a college football game when you're on the campus if football is there. I feel like that's sort of the parallel we have for this right now.
It's like, but now to that parallel, the college football team is normally responsible for a lot of those other sports teams being able to continue running. And I hate to say that because in a way we've seen with, what was it, NHL 15? If Ultimate Team wasn't a mode, we may not even get NHL 15. We may not have the NHL series anymore if it wasn't for Ultimate Team. And Ultimate Team does add a large portion of revenue for a lot of these games, not only in game purchase, but as we've talked about before, digital revenue post-launch is through the roof for most of these games. I think my biggest issue is, have you ever accidentally clicked on the splash screen when you don't mean to, and it puts you into like the MUT menus and everything, or like the FUT menus or whatever it is? You ever notice how much like brighter and how much more action there is going on in those as it is like the first franchise screen? It's just kind of like monotonous. That always bothered me. And I don't know that it's purposeful. I mean, franchise tends to be a more streamlined mode in terms of like what you're going to see. It's more information based mode. It just always bothered me. But going back to this story is, I worry that I was playing Road to the Show this week, right? And I went in and my loadout constantly gets messed. My appearance gets constantly messed up with my equipment if you go in and out of the mode, right? So I went in and wanted to change my equipment to like a different piece of equipment. And for some reason, none of my equipment showed up. And I was like, wait, what? Why is this doing this? And I couldn't. It took me 10 minutes to figure it out. And I was like, wait a second. All of my equipment is server based because all my inventory is based on the server. And that's not the way it used to be. Like, you used to have that equipment in your inventory. And like, that worries me. That worries me because now you've made it so that way Road to the Show is tough to be played or tough to be played correctly or fully because now it's connected to the server. because it has a Diamond Dynasty aspect. The same thing with March to October. March to October, if the server goes down, there are times where you legitimately cannot play it because it can't authenticate against the server because you're getting team affinity points that go towards Diamond Dynasty. That's a problem. Like if you're calling this your future franchise mode, or if you think this is going to be your future franchise mode, now it looks like they want to update regular franchise mode. So somewhere along the line, that little split happened. Same thing with Road to the Show. You're calling this your offline, your superstar mode. I get why you want to connect them, but you got to find some way to split them off. And to SES's credit, they did put out an article last week. I retweeted it. It's on my timeline where they said, we're still listening to feedback. Road to the Show is a growing experience. We understand this is like the first year of doing what Ball Player is. And we do understand that there's a lot of comments and feedback coming from the offline community on how Road to the Show is built. They said very clearly, we have a commitment to the offline player. We have a commitment to the Road to the Show player. We want to make sure you guys understand that when you play Road to the Show, you do not have to play Diamond Dynasty. We want you to just be able to play Road to the Show and level up and play through that. We think the archetypes that are built into the game are good for the offline player as well. It's just one of those things that you're going to keep going as you go. But color me cautious. Color me very, very cautious because I use MLB The Show because it's the fresh game, but all of them are doing it. Even the yard. The yard is, remember in Madden, the yard's very smart because they're using that player that's standing on your main menu is your guy, but he's also your yard guy, and he only starts to look better when you start getting gear from the yard. And like my guy's dressed up like SpongeBob stuff right now because there was a SpongeBob event, but you can also purchase a lot of that stuff as the season goes on. Again, I'm for, when it comes to microtransactions, I'm for cosmetic microtransactions. I truly do believe that card collecting modes are going to go the way of the dodo at some point in terms of they're just going to open the libraries up and make cosmetics the more of the Fortnite model. But we're going to see. We're going to see as things go on. Also, let's talk about value for your money. Game Pass again. Game Pass again. By the way, right now, Outriders, which was brand new, AAA title, still going strong. MLB The Show, AAA sports title, going strong. Now, Knockout City, which is coming from Veldon Studios. It's EA's new dodgeball experience. It's a 3-on-3 or 1v1 dodgeball experience. Kind of, if you haven't seen it, there are betas going around every weekend for PC. Completely crossplay, mind you. Completely crossplay, like every sports game should be at this point. Hear me, Madden? Yep. Do you hear me, Madden? Having the ability to be crossplay is fantastic, and it's one of those games. I watched Problem play the beta, not thinking that would be something that he would be interested in. He's more of a competitive content creator on Madden, now MLB The Show. Dude, he played it all weekend. He played the beta for an entire weekend. It was one of those things because it gives you that competitive feel with still having a lot of fun around it. They're coming to Game Pass on May 21st, I believe it is?
21st, yep.
Yep, May 21st, they'll be coming to Game Pass. You have to purchase it on every other platform. Xbox are saying, no, here. And it's just another, I hate to keep harping on it because I do think the PlayStation has its merits. I think PlayStation, PS Plus games can be very good. There's rumors of some of the PS Plus games coming for May, which might be huge. But man, it's so tough when Game Pass Ultimate is just blowing everybody away, and they're buying Bethesda. There's rumors of other studios coming under the umbrella. And we bring it up here because Knockout City is a very fun game that's going to get the eyes it deserves because of Game Pass. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Knockout City too, first of all, if you look at that game, I think the comparison you should make when you're thinking about is this game for me? Will this game be fun? Is there a skill gap in this game if you care about that? Think of Knockout City in the same vein that you would think about Rocket League. Hopefully you've played Rocket League. Rocket League might look like just a car and a soccer ball and just car soccer with explosions, but it is so much more than that. There is a high level skill gap in that game. You can play it as simplistically as you want. You can play it on a high level. when you do the tutorial for Knockout City and you see all the different variations you can do in terms of throws, the fakes you can do, throwing your teammates, how that works, the collaboration, different ball types that are essentially in the game to really mix up the gameplay. There is such a crazy level of complexity in that game. Again, you can play this simplistic as you want, but if you really want to be like one of the better players, there is a large skill gap that you can find in that game. And I think it's going to be a much better game than people maybe look at it topically. If you just watch a trailer, you're like, oh, it looks fun. No, that game is going to be very good.
And a very advanced like unlocking system for cosmetics. Like some of the cosmetics are, I mean, it's a beautifully artistic game in terms of the art style. And I love the difference in cosmetics and all of the different things that they're doing with that. The different type of balls that you could throw. The cage, nothing better than throwing a jail ball at somebody and then like having them cage up and then throwing them off and just watch like literally emoting as they go down. It's a real fun game. Keep your eyes out. We'll talk about it more come May when the release comes around. Maybe another game I beat GGB at, but yeah, definitely something we're gonna be playing. Don't you, Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens, madden? Remember that game? Anyway,
okay, I'm crying.
We do want to talk. Let's talk sports because I mean, I think switch it up a little bit, sports gaming, but there's some huge sports stories going along. We did get a chance to talk about it last week because MLB The Show, obviously the topic, but Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. I'm gonna be real clear. I don't think anyone thought Masvidal was gonna win that fight. Betting odds were pretty much showing that. But the way Usman put Masvidal down, and I say that in a very clear, I'm saying that with very clear words, very specific words. Usman put Masvidal down. Dude, have you seen, I haven't seen Usman take that kind of swing in a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look back at all the criticism Usman had, it was really about like, oh, he's wrestling. Oh, he was stomping toes the whole time. Oh, he's just a grappler, all these different things. You don't have to go back too many fights to see really him throw his striking and see like, oh, this dude can actually throw. Like he's very skilled there. And I think like Masvidal is going the way that I think Conor McGregor is in very dangerously close to going of like, Masvidal obviously came off the Kimbo Slice backyard brawls is where he really got his breakthrough and sort of like where he honed a lot of his skill set and people gave him a lot of credibility for that. And he was fighting for the BMF title and everyone was like, oh, Masvidal is this like crazy striker. And I'm not saying that he's not. But as an athlete, when you hit a certain pinnacle, you go one of two ways. You either lean towards I'm more hungry than ever, or you know what, I'm going to eat a little bit more than maybe I had like literally and figuratively. And I'm not going to be as hungry as maybe I once was. Masvidal is looking like he's not as hungry right now. Like he has other obligations that he's wanting to do and weird things that he wants to do. That is his prerogative. But Usman, like that dude looks like he is going to be one of the all-time greats the way he's fighting. His run that he's been on is fantastic and his story is fantastic. I'm excited to see what he continues to do.
So past now, it's got to be Colby, right? Called for Usman. It's got, I mean, that's really, who do they have left? I mean, I don't think anybody wants that fight. I'm done watching. By the way, I'm talking about Colby Covington, by the way. I don't think anyone but Covington can be lined up for that fight right now. I know Dana's got a fight already for one of the Diaz's and the other, and he's pretty much said that the other Diaz was going to get a fight coming soon, but you can't put the Diaz, you can put either one of those guys in there with that other than just for buy rate. I just don't know who else you could put up with Usman. I will say, while I know you're trying to figure out somebody over there, somebody tweeted at Usman this week talking about wanting him in a boxing match. Because that's kind of the MO for one Jake Paul. Jake Paul, after successfully beating Ben, I'm not gonna say beating. I mean, come on, there's no way. Ben Askren took a dive. You're not gonna convince me that Ben Askren didn't take a dive in that fight. But Jake Paul did tweet Usman and say, "Hey, if you can get Dana to write it off, I'm gonna give you the biggest payday you've ever had." Here's the problem I have. Jake Paul's right. And that's a problem. Like, literally, Jake Paul can get almost any fight he wants because he can. He can bring money to the table. And it's not even always his money. It's buy rate. Like, people pay to watch. People want to see him get his ass kicked. He knows it. Or he's got his fans that'll buy the fight. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it very, very tentatively because I worry. I worry. As a boxing fan, I worry, okay? Boxing has a problem with superstars. We've talked about this before, okay? UFC is slowly, they're not running down the path. They're walking down the path of having the same problem. They don't have a ton of mainstream stars. And we don't see it right now because UFC's big, where all the hardcore fans are still really hardcore, but that's where boxing was. You got to remember 10 years ago, this is exactly where boxing was, where stars weren't being built anymore. And like I said, guys like Conor are on their way out. Who's the next Conor? Like, who's the next guy that you really think about that you get excited to see fight? Everybody's starting to leave. John Jones. I mean, John Jones might fight once every 2 years. DC's out. Like guys like Anderson Silva isn't here anymore. Like the names we knew aren't being replaced by big names. I mean, am I crazy here to think that maybe UFC is slowly going down the same path and that Jake Paul is kind of proving that point with this?
Here's the thing. I don't think the UFC's in a weird spot where I think a lot of this is Dana White's fault. I'm going to put a lot of blame here on Dana White. Yeah. UFC is suffering from a personality problem, not from a talent problem. When you look through the divisions, I think you were seeing some of these strongest divisions we've seen in a long time. Yes, there are a couple that are sort of like, whatever. But from a talent perspective, the UFC is in a very good spot. It is a personality perspective where they are suffering. Conor was able to build fights. Nate Diaz was able to build fights. Nick Diaz, before his suspension, was able to build fights. You had a lot of guys able to trash talk. Think about your favorite fights. They were all built around rivalries, right? John Jones and DC. Think about how much publicity that had and for how many years that had the publicity. Them getting on the ESPN call and John Jones calling him the P word. Like, right. There were so many great things. Conor and the Diaz brother. Like, there was just so many great moments, and they were all built through sort of like that activity. Dana White has not done a very good job of sort of like letting these dudes really getting to that spot. I think the Conor tunnel fight really probably changed this to some degree, right? When
for sure.
Went overboard, and now Dana's probably like, nah, we need to chill to some degree with that.
Yeah.
So I think he's maybe went too far in terms of policing a lot of these guys and sort of suppressing some of that behavior. But I really think it's a personality problem more than anything. Aljamain Sterling, like, obviously his fight wasn't the most exciting fight because he won through the eye poker or whatever it essentially was. I can't remember with that, but like, there are guys that are super talented, and we're also seeing the resurgence in UFC. We're seeing guys that were written off that are now coming back. Look at Dustin Poirier.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
That was a dude that we thought 2 years ago was like, Poirier's gone. Now this dude, he's got the title. Like, we're seeing that happen again.
Stones for hands, what he's got. Yeah. So here's the thing. I agree with you. But I've said this about boxing too. Boxing technically right now is in the best place it's ever been. If you're a boxing fan, if you're a boxing hardcore, you're seeing the best technical fights you've ever seen in boxing right now. And the problem is, like you said, no one's talking. They're not, you know what they need? I hate to say this, man, because
a heavyweight. You need a heavyweight.
Yeah, you need a car crash, which is a heavyweight, and you need Vince McMahon, is what you need. Like, and I'm not saying literally they need Vince McMahon. They need a promoter.
The promoting style of him, yeah.
They don't need Dana White. Like, UFC's become too professional. It's become too, I'm going to put this boxer against this boxer. Here's the ranking here. Here's the ranking here. Dana White a couple of years ago was shooting from the hip, dude. He was like, if you talked trash and you got a response, you were getting a title fight. Like, he was going to put you in the spotlight because you brought viewership. Even if you walked in and got your ass handed to you, you brought viewership in. Now it's like, well, he's not ranked. He's ranked number 1, and he's the number 3 ranked fighter. I can't let the number 9 ranked fighter come up here. Like, let him do it. Let some kid off Tough Enough or whatever whatever show you want to bring him on. Let some kid walk in and take a swing. Man, like, you need that. You need those moments, and we're losing those moments in UFC. And I'm telling you, man, We're not seeing it because we're all big on UFC. We all love watching UFC right now. We all loved watching boxing 10 years ago, and look where it's at. No, you couldn't pay me to buy a boxing pay-per-view right now. I would much rather watch highlights the next day. So
yeah, I think I will argue part of the issue with boxing too is you need a PhD to understand the divisions. Right?
I agree with that.
There's 700 belts. They're like, we're unifying the WBC, IBA, IBC belt, and I'm like, bro, what? How many belts are there?
But hey, that's a sign of it. It became too professional. That's what I'm saying.
You're right.
Listen, I'm gonna be real with you guys. Boxing is a gladiator sport. The reason it's big, or not boxing, well, boxing is too, but UFC is a gladiator sport. The reason people like watching it is because people like watching people hit each other. Yeah. They like watching, they wait for blood. And yes, there's a technical aspect to it, but people like watching people kick other people's ass. That's why street fights got big. That's why all those backyard fight videos got big. That's why they went viral. Stop treating it like it is a white collar sport. It's not. Okay. And yes, that's treating people like animals. And I get that, but that's what UFC was built on. And you got to get back to that at some point. Yes, pay the guys. Yes, you want to worry about their health, obviously, but let them get back to being vicious animals back and forth outside of the ring. And you know what? Maybe they need another Connor throwing a chair through a bus window or something to get a little bit, moving on there.
Yeah, I would just say to wrap this piece. So the Covington Usman fight, I don't want to see it because here's why. Covington has fought his last fight. Do you know when it was?
2.5 years ago?
September 2020. He built Tyron Woodley, who we all know has been a shell of himself for the last
Woodley
2.5
fight.
years.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Before that, it was December 2014 where he lost against Usman, and that was the KO TKO in the 5th round.
Yeah.
And then before that, he fought Robbie Lawler, and he had to go to a decision with Robbie Lawler in 2019. And Robbie Lawler has not been Robbie Lawler for
a long time. Yeah,
exactly.
Long time, for sure.
I don't want Covington to get it. I want Gilbert Burns to have it. I would much rather have Gilbert Burns get a rematch against Usman than I would Covington.
Gilbert Burns. Listen to the name you just gave me. Now tell me how many people know who that is. I know who it is as a UFC fan.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You just proved what the issue is right now. No one knows. Now, if Gilbert Burns comes out tomorrow talking crap to Usman or swinging his hand in the air, like swinging like an Usman doll in the air from like the hair or whatever, I'd do whatever he wants to do. Get your name on the map, kid. Get your name on the map before you start looking for a title fight.
This is why Dana White and the UFC are becoming more like the MLB than anything else. They need to be more like a crossover between the WWE and the NBA. That's where they should be shooting for. That is their target for what they should be doing.
And talking about the MLB, you are a master segue. If I let you, I like.
Thank you.
Every once in a while, we gotta let you talk. I mean,
wow.
Trevor Bauer. We just had a huge series between the best rivalry in baseball right now, the LA Dodgers and the San Diego Padres. Trevor Bauer pitching against Fernando Tatis. Tatis laces his first bomb off Bauer and then immediately covers one eye, not at Bauer. Now, I want to be very clear. Tatis didn't do it at Bauer. He did it in his dugout, which is key here. I'm gonna reference back to that. But it was a reference to Bauer taking a swing at him and other guys. Second time up, hits a pitch that's maybe 1.5 feet outside the zone, puts it out the left field of Dodger Stadium, another bomb, and again celebrates around the bases. After the game, Trevor Bauer is interviewed. And what do you think Trevor Bauer says?
I was blown away by the interview. I know what he said, but I was blown away.
It was great, right?
Yeah.
It's exactly what he should have said. Good for him. He deserves to celebrate. He should celebrate. It's good for the game. Not by those words, but that's exactly what he said. Trevor Bauer gets it. He understands. You know what he should have done? He should have struck Tatis out.
Yep.
And you know what's going to happen if he strikes Tatis out? He's going to celebrate on the mound. You know why? That's what you should do. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a fun game. You know what Bauer didn't do? Put the next pitch in Tatis's ribs.
Exactly.
And you know why? Because Tatis just came off an injury that was almost, everyone thought he was out for the year. He's one of the poster children for MLB, for the let the kids play movement. And Bauer knows how important that dude is to MLB right now and to that rivalry. Bauer gets it. And if some of these old unwritten rules don't get their asses kicked out of the MLB, if we don't see some of these hooty-tooty 70-year-old white guys talking about, oh, well, that sounds like the game's got to be pure. Shut your mouth. No one cares about the purity of the game. I want to see a bat flip. I want to see a guy cartwheel up to first base. I don't care what he does, as long as he's having fun and the crowd there is having fun too. Okay? I will say this. Ooh, back off just a little bit. Don't celebrate at the other team. Celebrate towards your team. Celebrate with yourself. There's no reason to like flip the bird off at the pitcher.
No, I want a celebration at the team. I want it at the team.
Oh, you do?
Here's the thing, Mills. Think about this.
Okay.
Right, take it out of the baseball silo. Imagine LeBron James dunks over Jason Terry, right? Does he just look to his team and celebrate? Does he flex on Jason Terry? Imagine Steph Curry hitting one of those shots and doing a shimmy. You can argue, oh, he's just doing it at his team. No, you were doing that movement in the spirit of the rivalry of sports, and you were doing it to upstage your opponent. So I hear you on the like, oh, just do it to your dugout. And I know that sounds nice, but I think that's, what is the word you said? Hooty tooty, hoity toity. What'd you say?
Yes. Hooty tooty. I think I meant hoity toity.
I think that to me that's still
I think
doing
it means your white, your tighty whities are on too tight is what I mean. Is like, I understand as you're older, you got to find ways to hold everything in tighter, but that's not the way to run baseball. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Interesting. But no, I want rivalries. This is the whole thing with UFC again, right? Like, I want people to create rivalries. Rivalries are what makes sports better. Look at some of our favorite memories, Mills. We're old. The Bulls and the Pistons playoff games. What happened then? Rivalries were created because they were doing it at one another. We need Iverson
stepping. Oh my God!
Exactly. Those are all the moments we remember. We don't remember someone doing something and then looking at it. Baron Davis dunking on Kirilenko. He pulled his jersey out on Kirilenko. Yeah. Like, those are the moments we live for and that we go crazy about and that we talk about for decades.
I felt so bad for AK-47.
I stood out of my chair. I was sitting in my living room in Winchester, Virginia, and I lost my mind when that play happened.
You have brought me to the other side. Let them celebrate how they want to celebrate.
Yep.
As long as it's not vulgar. Can we say as long as it's not vulgar?
No
vulgarity.
A little bit though.
A little bit of vulgarity.
A little bit.
You want Marshawn Lynch jumping across the goal line, grabbing his junk as he crosses.
I want it all. I'm here for the vulgarity in sports, man.
Screaming, taste the rainbow as Skittles go raining out of his hair.
I see nothing wrong. This would be a great 30 for 30.
Well, you brought up a good point about some of the older memories we have. One of the older memories we definitely have is the Knicks being good. It's a long memory. It's a long time memory, but they're back. Are the Knicks for real? The Knicks are currently, I think, 4 seed in the East right now. Are the Knicks for real?
For real in terms of being a postseason team in the Eastern Conference, sure. Are the Knicks winning much?
First round series against the Celtics?
No, they play the Hawks right now, right? Doesn't 4 play 5?
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's because there's a play-in tournament, right? Doesn't the play-in? It would be the Knicks. It would be no, you're right. The Knicks, the Hawks. You're right. It is the Hawks. The Celtics are 6 right now.
If this were like the finalized roster, Knicks would play the Hawks. I think that'd be a fun series. I think the Knicks probably
9-1
win
last 10.
Yeah, I think
21-11 at home.
I can see them winning. Here's the thing, right? Could they beat the Hawks in a playoff series? Sure. Do they beat the Celtics in a playoff series? That's probably a really bad basketball game 7 finish that we ultimately see out of that one. I think if you're playing the Knicks, the number one thing you're doing, playoff basketball is so much different than regular season. And I think we also take that into account right now with how many games teams are playing and how different they're playing because they know we need to just get through this to get to the postseason.
Yep.
Come playoff time, the Knicks are going to see a completely different front that is shown to them. Julius Randle is going to have an entirely different sort of scheme that's going to be thrown at him from NBA teams. I think the Knicks can win a playoff series. I don't see them winning a second one, but
No.
it's going to be fun to watch them. And the Knicks being good is always fun for the NBA. So I'm happy to see it.
The problem with the Knicks is they're the best team of everybody else.
Yeah.
It's essentially the Nets, the Sixers, the Bucks, and everybody else. And the Knicks just happen to be the first team of everybody else. They're 4.5 back of the Bucks. I mean, listen, right now it's the Nets, the Sixers are 1.5 back, the Bucks are 3.5 back, and then the Knicks are 8 back. And then you've got the Knicks, the Hawks, the Celtics, the Heat, all between 2-3 games of each other, including the Hornets and even the Pacers at this point, who are having a little bit of a resurgence here in terms of with Karis LeVert, who we talked about last week. Or 2 weeks ago. I love Julius Randle. I love Julius Randle's game. I love seeing Julius Randle succeed, and I agree with you. There are some teams that the NBA is just better when they're good. The Celtics, the Knicks, the Lakers. I'm even going to put the Heat in there because I think the Heat have earned that spot over the years of being one of those teams. When Miami's rocking, man, it might not be a better city in the NBA. I'm even going to throw maybe a team like the Blazers in there. The Blazers with a lot of history.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't think there's any way they can handle it. I think, honestly, if they face the Hawks first series, I think they're done. I think you see a different, like you said, I think they see a different Hawks team than the Hawks team that's running right now. I don't think the Celtics are good enough to beat them, but man, they face off against that Heat squad. I know that Heat squad struggled. That's a different Heat squad in the playoffs. And Jimmy Butler is not going to let Julius Randle take him down. It's just not going to happen. If the Heat find some way to get into that series, get ready. No one's beat the Nets. I don't care. No one's beat the Nets out of the East. It's just not going to happen. But
I maybe disagree. I'm just saying Philly and Milwaukee can technically beat the Nets. Kevin Durant's not super healthy.
Milwaukee cannot touch the Nets. I will give you Philly specifically because Joel Embiid is an alien. Okay, Joel Embiid
not an alien, but yes, he's a very good basketball player. I think the 76ers can definitely beat the Nets, especially because they're not super healthy and their bench is kind of iffy. Unless Spencer Dinwiddie comes back. Then when he comes back, then they're winning everything.
Yes, because Dinwiddie, if healthy, is 6th man of the year. Like without question, Dinwiddie should be starting on 100%. 29 of 30 NBA teams.
Agreed.
If it wasn't for what they have on their team right now. Matter of fact, you could make a case for him starting at point on that team and running Kyrie at the 2. So
God, that would be disgusting. Yeah, imagine that lineup. Then you have James at 3, Durant at 4.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Running Jordan and or whoever you want to, or even Blake at the 5. We talked about that before. You could run Blake at the 5. He can defend the 5. Sure. So yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, I don't think the Knicks. I don't believe that the Knicks can do anything. I don't think anyone's going to touch the Nets. And I honestly believe, I don't think anyone in the West, the way they're built right now, even with LeBron coming back, as I think reports are right now that he's coming back soon, right? He's got to come back soon. I don't think he can come back day one of the playoffs. I think he needs a week or two to get back into it. I don't think anyone can beat the Nets right now, man. I think they're going to be fully healthy. I think they're being very smart about minutes too. I hate to say this, but I mean, with the way the schedule is right now, we talked about injuries. A lot of teams are resting their players. The Nets are one of those teams that, maybe this Harden injury didn't come at a very bad time. They're making sure Durant is getting his minutes, but they're not overworking Durant. You notice that, they're not overworking their guys. And that's another great reason why a guy like Blake Griffin came in. I think the LaMarcus Aldridge retirement hurts them for that. Prayers out to LaMarcus Aldridge. Unbelievable player and retiring for a good reason. But I mean, I think that does hurt the Nets long term because they were expecting him to be one of those minutes eaters, especially towards the end there. And he would have been a great 5 for them in the playoffs. But I still don't see any team coming close to them. You know what team? You know what? I take that back. One team I think comes close to them, honestly, and this sounds crazy. I think the Clippers match up really well with them in terms of how they're built. I mean, they've got Kawhi. They've got oh God, who's the guy that came over from the Lakers? At the big that came over from the Lakers. That was the 6th man for the Lakers, but came over from the Clippers.
Moore's brother.
I think they all work out. I think they work out defensively much better against the Nets than any other team does. I don't think the Lakers match up very well defensively with them. So especially all the role players the Lakers have, they're not really that great of defenders. So I mean, you're relying on Anthony Davis to kind of shut down the middle and LeBron to shut down one of the three bigs. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think Milwaukee can be a really fun matchup for them. I think Drew guarding Kyrie is probably the best guard you're going to have in terms of doing something against Kyrie.
I agree.
The main focus for me is in terms of why I think the Nets are a beatable team is because Kyrie. I don't have anything against Kyrie. I just think Kyrie sometimes in the playoff, he is either going to be the hero or he's going to be the large detriment to your team in terms of how he's going to play. Kyrie will shoot you out of a game, but he will also win you a game with his shot. It's the you live by, you die by. The same thing with him.
I agree.
James Harden, incredible player. We have seen some things in the postseason where he has either been high usage and gotten injured or has had some early trouble in his career. So
right.
There's that. Kevin Durant, the most gifted basketball player offensively on the planet right now. And through most of his career at this point, Kobe even just had a video that came out recently talking about, sort of how Durant was the most difficult player he's ever guarded in his NBA career, which is high praise. But Durant is coming off 2 injuries this year, both lower body injuries. He's a 7-footer. Again, the playoffs are a grind. They are more physical. It's going to be interesting for the Nets. If they have to play Milwaukee, I just think watch out for how that series goes for them.
Right. Milwaukee's a fun team. Like I've told you my problems with Milwaukee. I just think if a game comes close to Milwaukee, I wouldn't bet on Milwaukee. Milwaukee's gonna have to run away with every game they're in that they want to win. I just don't think they're winning close games against good teams. So, but the big story for sports this week, I mean, NFL draft. As you listen to this, guys, the NFL draft is tonight. Obviously, we know Trevor Lawrence is going 1. We've got a pretty good feeling that Zach Wilson is going 2 to the Jets, especially with Sam Darnold being traded to the Panthers, who now, another domino has fallen with Teddy Bridgewater being traded over to the Broncos for a 6th-round pick. After that, it gets really muddled. San Francisco's been in on 5 different quarterbacks. As of this recording, there are different mock drafts with San Francisco taking literally 5 different quarterbacks. The one I see the most is the one I actually expected the least, and that's Mac Jones at 3, an Alabama quarterback at 3, and quite possibly the least talented of the first-round quarterbacks. I mean, San Francisco can't go Mac Jones here, right? Like he does. I don't even think he works the system that well, right? And like this has got to be anyone. Trey Lance, like who? No way, Mac Jones goes 3, right? You're laughing because is just a good chance.
Oh God, you never know in the NFL. The system comment. I think Mac Jones does fit Shanahan's system a little bit in the same way that Matt Ryan fit his system when he was in Atlanta, because it's that West Coast sort of like short throws. You need to be a little bit mobile. Mac Jones isn't exactly a turtle. He can scoot a little bit. He's not crazy fast, but I think he's mobile enough where he can be fine.
Right.
I don't see an NFL franchise that can trade up to the number 3 spot to then say, we're taking Mac Jones, buddy. No. Mac Jones is the guy that you get in the 2nd or 3rd round, and you're like, you know what? This is a solid guy. We'll give him a shot. There's upside here. The floor is sort of where we expected, but whatever. Mac Jones is the Mitchell Trubisky of this draft. I had the same complaints against Mitchell Trubisky when Mitchell Trubisky was coming out of UNC. Right. And out of left field, people are like, oh, Mitchell Trubisky is incredible. And they were like downplaying Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson and Justin Fields now have a similar parallel where they're being discounted despite their body of work, despite how well they played, especially in that final season. And yes, we know Fields has limitations, as does every single quarterback, unless you're talking about, Sunshine, aka Jesus, and Trevor Lawrence. But there are limitations for all of these kids. I just don't see how people are looking at Mac Jones and say, you know what? I'm taking him over Justin Fields. I get where someone might say in some weird way, I'll take Mac Jones over Trey Lance, because Trey Lance did not play more than 1 game in the past season because of, the FCS sort of, canceling the season because of COVID. Right. I can understand why someone might have that rationale. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. But I can understand. There is no way you were trading up to take Mac Jones at 3 unless you were planning on getting fired. I can't see it.
I agree. I mean, looking down through the first round, let's just say Mac Jones goes 3. And I don't buy it, but let's say Mac Jones goes 3. You do realize that allows a guy like Trey Lance to fall very possibly. You ready to be scared?
You're going to say the Patriots, aren't you?
Very possibly all the way to the Patriots. Like there's rumors obviously of teams trading up, and the Patriots can trade up. The Patriots have pieces that they can trade up for very easily with a team like the Lions, a team like the Giants. They have a bunch of different places they could go with this. I'm just saying, if Trey Lance falls past 3, you're looking at 4 to the Falcons, 5 to the Bengals, 6 to the Dolphins, who could very easily trade out of that spot, 7 to the Lions, 8 to the Panthers. I mean, no one there is taking a quarterback. Maybe Detroit takes one, but they've got a ton of money locked up in Jared Goff. They're going to see what happens with Jared Goff. Dude, until pick 9 with the Broncos, who just traded for Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know if you trade for Teddy Bridgewater if you're thinking about taking a quarterback. If you legitimately think you can take a quarterback, you're thinking about trading out of that pick is what you're thinking about.
No, I think you're crazy. Here's my thing. 1, I think at 4, I think Atlanta definitely trades out. I think they trade out of that spot at 4. I see the Patriots being prime real estate for where that trade could possibly be for that destination. The other team, I think, is definitely taking a quarterback in the top 10 spot. I think Denver 100% solidified their plans. They are taking a quarterback. They are completely out on Drew Lock. Drew Lock will now be the guy that they're going to try to shop and get sort of a second round or third rounder or something for during draft day. He will be a draft day trade or shortly after. And Teddy Bridgewater, they're saying, unfortunately, because I love Teddy B, but I think they're looking at Teddy Bridgewater as this is our guy that can get us over the next year or 2. We can get a rookie quarterback to come in and learn from Teddy B, and then we can sort of transition in. They're using him as a bridge quarterback, and I think they still take one.
Pun intended. Here's the problem. The only problem I have with that is that you don't get bridge quarterbacks these days. You bring a rookie quarterback in to play because rookie quarterbacks on rookie deals are prime value. All right, that's when you're not even for a year. You're taking a quarterback in the top 10. He's coming in to play. This isn't Carson Palmer's time where he sat behind, like when he sat down on the Bengals bench, or this isn't Steve Young sitting behind Montana anymore. You take a top 10 quarterback. He's playing. He makes an impact year 1. And the problem I have with that is there's no way. There's no way. I don't think they're sold. I don't think Denver's sold on having to get Trey Lance. First of all, I don't think they think Trey Lance is going to be there when he comes down. I don't think they want Mac Jones. And past that, who else is there? Who else do you get?
I can see Denver trading up to 4. Don't say it. You're going to say it, aren't you?
I won't say it. Because it's a meme for me, but I mean, it's not a bad meme. I do believe somewhere in my heart of hearts that Kyle Trask is going to be a very
you couldn't even say it. Look, you couldn't even
successful quarterback. I think he'd be a successful quarterback. I really do. That being said, he's not going first round. So we're talking first round here. Tell me the one player that you think is going to jump first round. Like the player that goes, there's always one that goes way higher than he should. By the way, Kyle Pitts. So while we're here, before you answer that question, if the Falcons don't trade down and they don't take Kyle Pitts after restructuring Matt Ryan's deal, they're insane. He is the best pass catcher in a decade to come out of the draft. So
I like Kyle Pitts is not in Atlanta because Atlanta does too much of like a zone. They have like a zone run, zone blocking scheme. I want to see Pitts in Cincinnati, but I also hope Cincinnati drafts offensive linemen for every other pick they do if they don't take Penei Sewell at number 5.
They're taking Sewell for number 5, 100%. If Sewell's on the board at 5, if there's the Chase stuff is just because of Joe Burrow. If Sewell's on the board at number 5, they take Sewell. Burrow got a major injury and was running for his life last year. They've got skill players. They've got a ton of skill players. They've got a lot of very, very good talent on that team. They need the trenches. The one common of every Super Bowl contending team that happens, every single one, is that they have good trenches, no matter what. All right, you got to protect your quarterback. You got to be able to get to the quarterback. Those are your 2 rules in the NFL right now.
What franchise are you talking about?
That would be the Chiefs.
No. I'm talking about what franchise are we discussing at pick 5?
Cincinnati Bengals. Why would you do that to Cincy? Come on, man. All right, so let's talk about what's one player you think jumps up out of somewhere. Someone's going to reach for somebody in round 1. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, in terms of a player, the player I think is going to jump up boards is either going to be Asante Samuel Jr., because you get the pedigree, and I think at the end of the day, someone's going to want to take him for that reason alone, or Javon Morig, who won, what is the defensive back of the year award? Why am I...
Right, no, I get you, yeah. There's a lot of mock drafts having him going like early 20s to some team.
I can see him jumping into the mid-teens at that point, but I just hope... I only want one thing to happen on draft night. I want Najee Harris to go 24. That's all I care about.
Oh, come on. Najee Harris? All right, let me explain this again. You do not take a running back.
Yes, you do.
In this day and age.
Najee Harris.
First round.
MVP.
I don't care where it is.
MVP.
All right. You take, hey, listen, let the Steelers take Najee Harris. You know why? Because that means it's one less player they're going to take off the Ravens, who have 2 first-round picks now. By the way, after handing, we essentially gave Thanos the soul gem, is what we did. Kansas City said we need one more piece. That's a Pro Bowl offensive tackle. The Ravens are like, sure, here. And I'm telling you, the Ravens were like Doctor Strange going, don't worry. I know what I'm doing, except I don't think they really know what they were doing. Well, they were going to have to trade. They're going to have to trade Zeus Jr. anyway. He was already asking for a trade. He was gone after this season. They wanted to get some kind of value, and they got very good value in the draft in this for draft potential for this too. 2 first rounders and some deeper picks where they make their money at. Here's the problem I have. There is a dearth of wide receivers and a dearth of quarterbacks. And I feel like after the guys go in the top 10, you're going to see somebody reach for like a cornerback. Surtain, and you know who it's going to be? You ready for this? Oh, it's going to be so good. So good. The best thing the Dallas Cowboys could do is to take Patrick Surtain the second he's available.
Agreed.
And they're not going to do it.
Because it's Jerry.
They're gonna take somebody like give me random cornerback that should be going second round because they think Eric Stokes. They're gonna take Stokes from Georgia. They're gonna take a guy like J.C. Horn from South Carolina.
I hope he goes to New Orleans. By the way,
Horn does
just for his the dad connection there. I would love to see that.
I get you for that. It's 100% gonna happen. The Cowboys are gonna find some way to ruin this draft for themselves. It's gonna be real easy. Nobody on the board is gonna take Patrick Surtain before 10, where Dallas could be. And they're 100% going to take, gonna reach
or something where you're like, what?
Right, and they're gonna be like, well, he's more athletic. He's a better man cornerback than Surtain is. When everyone knows Surtain is the class, the cream of the crop of this draft, and I can't wait to watch it because I love watching Dallas fans. Just every Dallas fan I've talked to, by the way, and there's been a number of them. Wants Surtain. That's the only name I've heard any Dallas fans say. And you know it's going to happen. It happens every year. Dallas finds some way to shoot themselves in the foot. By the way, for the Ravens, just speaking personally, if Terrence Marshall is on the board and they don't take him, I think Terrence Marshall is a fantastic receiver that should be there somewhere late first round. I think a lot of mock drafts have him going early second. I think he's worthy of one of those 2 first round picks. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Ravens move up to try to grab somebody else, maybe an offensive lineman or something in like the teens somewhere. But they've got draft capital now. They need an edge rusher too. So, yeah, I think that's the one guy I think is going to fall. I really do. He's Najee Harris. I truly do. There is and let me be very clear. Najee Harris is far and away the best running back in this draft. Okay. He is going to be successful at the next level. And I know the Steelers need a running back. You don't take first round running backs in the NFL anymore. You just don't. To me. They're dime a dozen. You can literally get the same production out of most undrafted free agents with a good line. I'm just talking about how it works. Listen, I'm going to get, maybe they take Najee Harris, tomorrow night or tonight as we listen to this. And I have egg on my face. I just don't see him doing it. He's going to be there. Najee Harris will be there at 24. He will be there at 24. No one's going to take him before the Steelers. And I think the Steelers miss if they do that.
I just want to say, if we don't get Najee Harris, who I think is, again, to agree, the best running back in the draft. Other guy I want is Javonte Williams at a UNC. I think he has, if it's not Najee Harris, I think he's going to be the best running back in the draft. That dude is a stud. I think
he is going to make someone. Yeah, he's going to make something very happy early second round. I agree. We agree there. He's going to make somebody very happy early second round. I do think, like I said, I do think Najee Harris and I think they both go early second. Yeah. I have a real problem putting that kind of capital, that kind of value into any running back at this point, unless it's the next coming of Barry Sanders, which Najee Harris is not.
Well, you're just a bottom tier franchise, so I don't care about your opinion, Mills.
Bottom tier franchise. I'm sorry. What was your playoff record last year?
How many rings you got?
How many rings I got? I don't know. Why don't you tell me while Ben Roethlisberger is trying to throw a ball 10 yards with him on his hand?
Listen, I want Ben Roethlisberger gone more than anyone can. As a Ravens fan, you should have won Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh because that man.
I do. Every day I pray they rework the deal and you say, hey, you know what? 3 more years, man. We don't have another quarterback on the roster. Let's go 3 more years with him.
Also, I wanted them to draft Kellen Mond in the second round. That's all. That's what I want.
Kellen Mond's not going to be there second round for. Where does Pittsburgh go second round for them? 55 overall. Yeah, no, he's not. He will not be there. You know what though? I will say who will be there then, and who would be a very good pick for them.
Don't say it, Mills.
Not Kyle Trask. I'm being dead serious. Okay. This is a serious pick. Not Kyle Trask. Davis Mills from Stanford. Davis Mills fits that offense perfectly. He's mobile, he's big, he's got a good arm, he's a good decision maker, and he's one of those guys that has gone a little bit up draft boards, but has not really gotten the shine because obviously how deep this draft is with quarterbacks. I do not be surprised to see Davis Mills go second round and legitimately show some of these first rounders up.
Okay. I just think this is going to be the weirdest draft in a long time because of your terrible last name. I think it's going to be a weird draft because I think COVID impacted so much of not being able to get as much hands-on time with recruits. I think also a lot of these 40 times are completely embellished and these dudes are not as fast as they're saying they are. So I think this is going to be a weird, funky draft that we don't realize the impact of it until next season.
You're going to see more gems come out of the 4th through 7th round in this draft than we've seen ever before. And the franchises that are more apt to get the scouting for the late rounds are going to be the ones that really, really pull some gems. The Patriots, I'm going to say it, the Ravens, the Steelers historically have been pretty good at that. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody else that gets a lot of late rounds. Oh, Seattle. Seattle historically has gone some late round guys. All those teams that you normally see those late rounders pop up and become like stars and move on to other teams after that. Keep an eye out on those teams because they're going to be some absolute studs late because of exactly what you said, because scouting's been all out of whack due to COVID.
Yeah, I'm just happy you didn't say Kyle Trask because I was fully prepared to end the podcast right there.
Kyle Trask, listen to me. Kyle Trask is going day 2, and whoever takes him is getting a very, very good quarterback that will be an NFL quarterback for 10 plus years successfully.
Kyle Trask is going to Detroit, and I'm sorry that you had to hear Mills say that. Mills, it was a great podcast before that moment. I can't.
Can we talk about one more thing? I know we're joking right now. I have seriously, what's going on with Justin Fields? Why is Justin Fields dropping down? Do you think I'm going to say it. Do you think it's the race thing?
Oh, 100%. I think it's a combination of, I think we talked about this before, but I think a lot of it has to do with sort of the race card. I think people are doing the whole black quarterback, blah, blah.
Ohio State.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think there's also a lot of smoke and mirrors going on. I really think San Fran is going to take Fields. I think this is all a lot of smoke and mirrors of them trying to sort of throw off people and keep them off their scent or whatever about who they're going to take. And I think there's a good chance San Fran takes Justin Fields. I think everyone in the mock draft community is oh, Mac Jones. there's so many times where GMs or staff or whatever try to leak out fake, false information. You can go back as far as Dan Marino, when there was the whole thing about Dan Marino being a drug addict. They leaked out, trying to essentially drop him down draft boards, and they got him a drop in the draft boards. And then the Dolphins got him at like pick whatever when he should have been a top 3 pick or whatever that season, rumored. I just think there's smoke and mirrors, but I think there is essentially like they're trying to play the like black quarterbacks can't do X, Y, and Z card.
Right.
And I think that's just a travesty to
I will say this. I've been one of the biggest detractors on this podcast for Justin Fields. There are throws I don't think he can make. That being said, if somebody drafts Mac Jones over Justin Fields, they're insane. They're insane. Like there's zero reason to draft Mac Jones over Justin Fields. And again, I will say that again as somebody who has seen Justin Fields play. And again, I will say it. I don't think there are throws that he can make on the field as well as some of the other quarterbacks that would be there. Mac Jones is not one of them. And to see a mock drafts with Mac Jones at number 3 is insanity. He is going to ruin some GM's career. Mac Jones is. So
yeah, nice kid.
Not like Kyle Trask though.
All right. Okay, Mac Jones is. I'm sorry, Trask is going to Detroit. I'm just going to put that out there. I just see that.
I'd be okay with that. I think Trask can do very well in Detroit.
Said no one ever. Mills, great episode until the last minute and a half. We covered a lot. Draft. Make sure you enjoy it. Leave us 5 stars. Roast Mills in his chat. Remind him that his beard is coming off in a month and some days, and the Tom Selleck stash will emerge.
For next week, just a heads up, we will be going over the draft next week. If you have comments, questions, you want to talk about your team, leave us a tweet. We're going to be doing a lot of talking about like reaction to the draft. So your favorite squad, talk about their first round, talk about their second round. Where do you think the gems were? Where do you think the busts are? Cowboys fans, I know you're going to be upset no matter who they draft. Talk to us. It's Overplayed pod without the vowels. OVRPLY pod, right?
Absolutely. And we won't say who, but we should have a special guest next week as well to sort of help us break down a lot of sort of the gems, the great picks, the bad picks, and the teams that killed it and that absolutely killed their jobs and are going to get fired soon. So it should be a great one.
All right, wrap us up. What else are you doing here? Come on. You know how this works.
I just was thrown off by you mentioning Kyle Trask more than your quota. You were allowed 1 for the podcast show, and you threw like 4 in there. So, but yo, that's it,
baby.
It was a great episode. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Leave us 5 stars. Check us out. Leave us that tweet. My Mills, the mustache is coming. The beard is gone. We'll catch you guys in the next one.
Ciao.